So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another episode of Is It That Bad? Where we take a look. Sometimes we take a look at an album, but this one is different. So, JC suggested that we talk about the brand new EP by Motley Crue, which is called Cancelled, and it's got 3 tracks. So, see the conundrum, it's 3 tracks. We usually do a round where we pick 3 tracks. So, for this one, it's going to be different. So, here's the Cancelled artwork, and I gotta mention there's a picture of Nicky Six not playing his bass. Because there's a lot of controversy. It's like, is he playing bass? Did he play bass? So yeah, Motley Crue is interesting. Talk about this one because we all know the history. They signed. How many years ago was that they signed a contract where they were saying that they were retiring? Was that like how many years ago was that? Does anyone remember, JC?
I don't know, but I mean with Motley Crue, it's been like they keep coming back into the spotlight. They had that movie on Netflix a couple of years ago with
The
Yeah, the
Dirt, yeah.
dirt. Yeah.
the Dirt.
Good
They
movie.
had a few songs on that soundtrack, and it's like you think they're coming back, but then like they don't, and then like you don't know. And I have a few things to say about that later on, but it
Yeah.
it yeah.
Yeah, so we have joining me for this episode. We have obviously JC Rock and Metal Reviews, who gave the idea that we talk about this. We have Rock of All Ages and Chili from Live Listening Race. So on this one, we're gonna do something different because obviously it's 3 tracks. So what we're gonna do on round first is we'll give our first impressions on when we listen to these tracks. And maybe we can say, what our history with Motley Crue has been, since we can talk about our history with Motley Crue as a band. Then on the second round, we'll all talk about the 3 tracks. So we'll each discuss what we think about each track because there's only 3 tracks. So we'll talk about the 3 tracks. And then on the third round, we'll vote thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down, and we will also vote if we think Motley Crue should A, retire, or B, keep putting music. So
Hey.
that's what we'll. But do that. Do not spoil it, man. like, how dare you? So yeah. So we'll know what Rock of All Ages did. Is this payback for Coldplay?
No.
No. Okay.
I had that planned before we did the recording.
You had it planned. So yeah. So let's start with the first round. And since JC picked this to talk about this, JC, what are your thoughts on this EP?
Okay, well, we'll start with my history with the band.
Yeah.
I go back to the 80s. This is like my generation of music. I started to listen to them when they first put out like Shout at the Devil. They had a few videos on MTV. I used to watch those. And I think the first album I bought new from Motley Crue was Dr. Feelgood, but then I went and I bought like the other ones, the Girls Go Girls and Theodore Kane, and they were one of my favorite bands. I kind of like stopped to listen to them after the Dr. Feelgood album, and then I rediscovered them many years later, more like in the past few years, because when I started my YouTube channel, I did a deep dive of all their albums, and I've done ranking videos on them, and I kind of got interested. So the thing with Motley Crue, it's like you don't know if they're like retired or you think they're breaking up. Like there's like a lot of drama, but not a lot of music. Like that's what the thing with Motley Crue. It's we had the whole thing about Mick Mars and he leaves, and then they get the new guitar player, and then they had that movie, The Dirt, on Netflix, which is not that bad. Which is
I like it.
that was
Yeah.
I
I
thought it was a
actually
pretty
read that
decent.
book.
Oh, you
Don't
did?
watch
Yeah,
it
that's
with your
cool.
parents, though.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, they could have, like, that was a perfect opportunity for them to, like, just make new music and release a soundtrack. But no, they released like two songs, a really bad cover of Madonna, right? Like a Virgin. Was that the one?
Oh God.
And,
Oh, fuck that.
right? Yeah.
They
But
did.
anyway, so I heard about them putting out new music. I wasn't really interested. I like the first single, Dogs Are Walking Out. I listened to it. Didn't think much of it. They put out the Beastie Boys cover again. I wasn't really interested. So I kind of went in with the expectation that this is going to be very bad. But I will continue my thoughts in the next round because they might change. So
Okay, good
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So, what about you, Rock of all ages? Your history with Motley and your initial thoughts.
Okay. I do have kind of a weird like degree of separation with them. There was a band called Classless Act who is on the same label where either Motley Crue is currently on or they were at some point. And they did a song with Vince Neil called Classless Act. And I saw that band live 2 years ago, and they were really, really good. And I got to ask the singer afterwards, how'd you get Vince Neil on the song? And they went, oh, we opened for them on tour and we just asked them.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So as far as the actual Motley Crue, I said in the Coldplay recording that to challenge myself, I listened to all their studio albums.
Oh, shit.
What really went down is I did both bands. So I did Coldplay, Motley Crue, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
And boy, was that a trip because
Yeah.
I found some Motley Crue songs from the 80s and even as recent as their album in 2000 that probably should have gotten them canceled. Let's be honest.
Hmm.
Jailbait.
Yeah, I can understand.
Jailbait songs, let's say.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
well,
Gotcha.
yeah, the 80s were different, but yeah.
Well,
It's
again,
hard to
they had a
judge
song
the
like that in
80s.
2000. What was the excuse then?
The
The
2000s
year
were different.
2000?
Yeah.
Sure.
It was new metal.
Yeah. But
It was the millennium.
yeah, Motley Crue, like I'm not gonna say they don't deserve the reputation they have because they have made some, songs that still get a generous amount of radio play.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't think this record was the best way to show that they were still on their A game. Like I guess the instrumentation is fine, but the songwriting just we'll get into it in the next round.
Everyone's going to go that way, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just 3 tracks. So, what about you, Chile? Your history with the Motley Crue boys and initial thoughts.
Oh, well, far out. My history of Motley Crue is a bit of a weird one because I always knew of them and I knew some of their songs from, hearing them on the radio. Dr. Feelgood and some of the stuff from the early 80s and whatnot. Knew the tracks, the big hits. That was as far as it went, though. I never bought any of their albums. I never got into them. In fact, about as much detail as I knew was from watching, I think it was Viva La Bam, when they got Slayer to perform at his backyard. And he's, talking to his mum at the time, and he's like, oh, do you know heavy metal? And she goes, oh, like Motley Crue? And he's like, nah, this is Slayer. It's real heavy metal, and it was always this kind of joke because Slayer obviously knew them and they're incredibly heavy. So from what my impressions on Motley Crue back in the day was always this cheap knockoff metal band, the Slayer. So I never really got into them. That being said, obviously I heard the stories. You cannot unhear the stories. The stories are legendary. The tour, of course, with Ozzy Osbourne that I'm referring to, it's the tour from Hell, and everyone knows it. It's like gone down in legendary status as far as rock and roll stories. It's like the ultimate, the penultimate debauchery, I guess you could say, of what happens on tour, but didn't stay on tour. So yeah, it was just absolutely chaos. And when the Dirt came out, obviously the singles are starting to pump up again. I'm like, fuck, these are good tracks. I'm listening to it, and I'm very curious to watch the movie, go and watch it. I will say about the movie, it was too short. The part where they got into the tour and they're with Ozzy, it was too short. They should have made a 20-minute segment just for that.
The scene with them at the pool with Ozzy, really hard to
Oh,
watch.
it's so
Yeah.
bad. Yeah. Go on, snort a line of ants. Like, you won't do it. It is like it's a really like if you haven't seen the biopic and you're curious about the band, hell, you don't even have to be into their music. You can watch it, and I guarantee you're gonna have a fun time watching that movie. It was anyway, but it was because of the biopic. I went and checked out the albums, got into the band, so I'm a very new fan, and I am aware of obviously all this shit that's gone on in the past 20, 30 odd years and the terrible albums that they've had. Hector, I've actually got to ask you, this isn't the first time I think you've covered Motley Crue on Is It That Bad?
No, we did Generation
Oh,
Swine from
Oh,
19
that album. The last song, Brandon, is hilarious.
My Son.
See, for me, the last hit that I can
I don't know.
remember from Motley Crue had to be that one with Pamela Anderson on the boat. That's that's the last hit I remember from them. So coming
No,
into
that's
this
not a hit.
EP,
That's a porno.
it was a
Rock
hit
of
in a
Ages
different kind of
is
way.
watching confused. Like, was that a song? No, that
That was
wasn't
a
a
song.
song.
I love you so much. Like, yeah, get out of
Yes,
it.
I can steer the
I'm
boat
on a
with
boat, motherfucker. Don't you ever forget.
something like that. Something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Steering it with his. Anyway, no, I'm not going to mention that. The third arm. Anyway, but yeah, look, I came into this album because I heard Dogs of War. I put out a short in regards to that. I had my thoughts on that one. Beastie Boys cover. And I'm guessing we will talk about that in the next segment
Yeah.
because, yeah, there's not much I want to say without giving too much away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that leaves me my history with Motley Crue. Like I remember Motley Crue from back in the day, but actually, JC is interesting. The first Motley Crue song that I actually listened to was Hooligan's Holiday.
Wasn't
Ooh.
So the
Brandon?
first time I got
Oh,
into
with
them
John
was on that,
Corabi.
yeah, with John Corabi, and I thought it was a great song. And that's I'm saying it right, that's a very underrated album
Yeah.
Yeah,
from Motley
I think
Crue.
it's
I
a good
think
one. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
very great album. And then I listened to stuff with Vince Neil. I had the greatest hits. I saw them in concert. They played in Puerto Rico on the Red, White, and Crew, I think in 2005. And I saw them, and they were really good still back then. And obviously I knew of Tommy Lee and all his shenanigans, and I read the Dirt book, so I did know about them. Yeah, it was. I wouldn't say that I was like a huge fan, but yeah, I enjoyed their stuff, their hits, and they were entertaining band. So, but the last album that they put out, like a album with lots of songs, was 2008's Saints of Los Angeles, which I thought was a
Yeah.
decent album.
Yeah.
I actually
Not too bad. Yeah.
enjoyed that album. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I enjoyed that album, and after that, I don't know what happened. They're like, I don't know, they had a lot of momentum in the 80s, and then in the 90s they had ups and downs. Then in 2000 they tried to come back, New Tattoo, that didn't go anywhere, and Saints of Los Angeles didn't go anywhere. And after that they didn't put anything more until like they retired, and they did
I
that
I think Nikki Sixx went to his other band, 6
yeah,
a.m.
he had a band called
Oh,
6
yeah.
a.m., which was a pretty cool band, and he wrote a book too about the heroin diaries. And Tommy Lee in the 90s had a horrible band called Methods of Mayhem, where he did
Oh,
that song
yeah.
"Get Naked," which featured Pamela
Oh,
Anderson.
yes. That's
It was
right.
horrible.
Oh.
That could be an Is It That Bad episode for the future. Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
I wish.
We can go
Mm.
back to Best of the Mayhem, and then we can explain to Rock of All Ages why people didn't get canceled in the 90s. I don't nobody I don't know. And But after that, Motley Crue, they kept getting like, if they were in the same, obviously the big elephant in the room is Vince Neil's vocals.
Lack thereof.
Yeah, if you've seen him live, and back when I saw him in 2005, he still could sing something, but I gotta be honest, I never thought that he was a great singer to begin with.
No.
But yeah, now he's atrocious. So yeah, that's my history with them. And yeah, what I thought of this EP, I have thoughts that I will leave for the for the second round. So let's go to the second round, and we're going to everyone will talk about all the tracks. So what we'll do is like JC will talk about the first track, then we'll do or I don't know if it's easier if anyone like you give your thoughts on the free tracks, or if we can do like one track, one person, then like everyone talks about the free tracks. Okay, let's do that. JC.
Well, we'll do three, but I'm going to do it in order of release.
Okay.
It's just be easier that way. So I'm going to start with Dogs of War because that was the first one that came out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it when it came out. It was too new metal, a little too industrial. It wasn't a good song, very generic. So, I didn't think it was a good like single. I didn't think it was a good comeback single. So for that reason, I wasn't really, anticipating this EP. So I wasn't into that song. And then they released the Beastie Boys cover, Fight for Your Right. And I think that's probably one of the worst covers that has ever. I know that we were talking about another episode where it's like one of the worst covers. I forgot what it was, but I think this is one of the worst covers. And also because
was that the Corey
right?
Feldman episode?
No,
It might have been
Probably.
Corey Feldman, but
was it Papa Roach?
I forgot what we were talking about. I was like,
Yeah, the Last Resort cover.
Last Resort.
Resort,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, fuck that song.
Yeah, I was said that was one of the worst covers. Yeah, I think this is like, kind of like at the same level as one of the worst covers. First of all, like the lyrics are like dated, anyways, because the Beastie Boys are talking about stuff in the '80s, like our mom throwing away our best magazine and things like that, and our dad catching us smoking. I mean, they could have like updated like the lyrics, like to make it more modern.
They should have made it like fight for your right to get out of the retirement home.
Yeah. Okay, so those two songs I didn't like, but the one song that I listened to today called "Cancelled," I hate to say it, it wasn't that bad. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was kind of like a modern Motley Crue. They're not sounding like they did in the '80s. There's like they kind of sound fresh. The lyrics are relevant, for today. Vince Neil's vocals don't sound that bad. I'm pretty sure like they put like a bunch of auto tune and AI or whatever they used
just a
to
bit.
make them sound good, but they didn't sound that bad. I mean, the guitar sounded good, and it kind of sounded a little more along the lines of Motley Crue, like during the Karabi album, like that type of sound, a little more new metal-ish, or a little more like alternative. But I thought it was a decent song. So, with that being said, I'll leave the rest of my thoughts for the next round. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Chili?
Oh, yeah. The three tracks, I'm just gonna go through it in order, I guess, but Cancelled. Yeah, that's a pretty generic song in my opinion. It's probably the best track off this album, but that's really setting the bar quite low, compared to the other two. So that's, I guess, something to say about it. But what I feel just annoyed about is just that you're going to sing about being cancelled you're singing the song about being cancelled when it's like six other songs have been done in this year alone about being cancelled. Look at Falling in Reverse, for example. If you were to Google tracks that have been,
you did an album about being cancelled.
Yeah, the whole album is pretty
with
much
his
about being
fucking
cancelled.
mugshot on it.
Yeah, with his mugshot, and that is a person you should cancel.
He keeps it real.
Yeah, exactly. Like Motley Crue are talking about being cancelled, but they're their worst enemy. They're cancelling themselves. Every fucking, tour they've ever done, they've had to cancel it because of technical issues, or, the Motley Crue New Year's Eve party was
Or
some
they
other
did a
bullshit.
Jane's Addiction.
Or yeah, exactly. They're fighting on stage. They're a band that are talking about this cancel culture shit, but they're canceling themselves. I don't really know any movement that's trying to cancel Motley Crue. We know who they are. We know what they're about. And they're probably wishing they could get canceled because of the PR stunt that comes with that. That's free publicity. So they probably wish they could get canceled. And it really annoys me because to me, they're a band that seem like they're a hot air balloon. They're this giant bag of hot air from the band, and the band members always talking shit in the press. And there's this tiny little basket, and this is the EP. There's 3 fucking tracks, and one of them is a fucking cover. Like, you're to fans out there, you've waited 20 years and you got 2 new songs and 1 cover. I just feel disappointed for the fans. Look, I'm not a long-term fan, so I can't say anything about it, but I can only imagine the frustration that one would feel. You were talking about Puya, is it Puya? And their album
Yeah.
that came out recently, that was short, and you were disappointed because it was too short, and you waited all that time. This is a 12-minute EP. Like, fuck. So anyway, look, cancelled. Probably the best track on here. Dogs of War, absolutely horrendous. Dogs of Dog Shit is more like it. The video clip as well, walking around as zombies or something like that, getting run over by a cop car or some weird shit. It's weird. It's just odd. I believe the first track that features John Five, which is the new guitarist for the band, who was also in Marilyn Manson back in the day.
Who's
And
wasted in this band?
exactly, he is absolutely wasted on this track. I've heard his solo stuff. He is an
Yeah, he's
amazing
amazing.
guitarist. He's incredible. Even with Marilyn Manson, he was a bit wasted, to be honest.
He
His
was.
solo stuff, yeah, his solo stuff is
I think only
incredible.
Rob Zombie utilized him more.
I believe that.
Yes.
Yeah, he was also
yeah.
with Rob Zombie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, here it's like one little shred part, and you're kind of like, okay, whatever. It's a thing. But yeah, John, it's just kind of frustrating that you got this amazing guitarist on here, and it's such a basic bitch song. Yeah, Dogs of War, at least the only track that I can think of that's, I guess, deserving of the title Dogs of War is the Motorhead song Dogs of War, because at least that one comes into my mind. So yeah, Dogs of War, absolute dog shit track. Absolutely hate it. Don't let the bastards get you down. Oh, I forgot to mention as well. Are you ready to bang your motherfucking head against the wall? So
On Cancelled, yeah.
yeah, on Cancelled, are you ready to bang your motherfucking head against the wall? And I'm like, I am banging my head against the wall every time I listen to these songs here. It's just anyway. And then we haven't even touched upon the last one, obviously. Beastie Boys. Yeah, right. Okay. So
Adam
we
is
mentioned
in his grave, like
Rest in
no,
peace, MCA.
no, yeah,
exactly. We're
stop
looking
fucking
at
up
this.
my song.
Stop fucking my song over here. You got to fight for your right to not play this track ever again. It's just horrendous. Why would you do this? And why not even update the lyrics like you're saying? Oh yeah, my mum caught me smoking. Why not say vaping, for example? Porno mags. Seriously, mags, magazines. All this
Yeah, they should
stuff.
have
It
like
was
updated their references, like
Mm.
Red 2,
and
Porno 2.
yeah. My incognito window or whatever the hell, But at the end of the day, it's such a like you're a 60-plus-year-old musician talking about fighting for your right to party. It's really on your nose. It's on the nose for back in the 80s, which we knew you for. It's really on the nose when you're saying they covered Like a Virgin. Ha ha, get it? Yeah, because we did things in the 80s. We partied and we did things with virgins. Oh, ha ha, get it? So yeah, it's just such a shit cover. I'm amazed that you know that cover of the Papa Roach song "Last Resort" by who was it? Falling in
Falling in
Reverse,
Reverse.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
that came on the scene only a couple of months ago, and I thought, yep, that's going to be the worst song ever done. Right behind Blue Eyes by Limp Bizkit, and that's going to
Yeah.
stay that way for another 20 years. It barely lasted fucking 12 months. I think this is going to be the next worst fucking cover track I've
Yeah.
ever heard. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. Thank you for
I can't do
speaking
it.
your soul, Sheely. So what about you, Rock of All Ages?
First of all, I'd like to say I didn't know they did a Like a Virgin cover before we did this recording, but I will say Deadpool and Wolverine did it better. Deadpool and Wolverine did it better.
Deadpool. Yes. Hopefully they didn't use that version of the song.
No, they didn't. They used
No,
the
that
original.
came before.
No.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna do the songs in order as they appear on the EP. Canceled. So I'm reading from my notes right here. No one ever listened to Motley Crue for their social commentary, and it's quite bold to say you might get canceled when Vince Neil literally killed a man in a DUI, and he still had a career after that. Heck, this wasn't even the only DUI he ever had. Like, you want to talk about getting canceled? Start there.
He only did like 30 days in jail or something like that.
Yeah, I think he said
It
he
was
only
the
got out
80s.
early because he's rich.
It was
He's
the
rich,
80s,
man.
man. That's the defense. What
Rich
happened?
people
It was
crimes.
the 80s.
Rich people
It was-
crimes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dogs of War. So my channel follows Billboard's Rock Radio Airplay chart, where this song was a top 5 hit. And I have
really?
to say, yes, really. I have to say, this sounds like it was made by a newer band and not a band from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's called
Personally, I
Auto-Tune.
like this. I like the song well enough, but I've heard someone say it sounds a little like Korn.
Really?
I'm just
Korn?
don't shoot the messenger here. A part of me wants to say it feels like it was written for John Corabi.
Okay.
I don't know because I don't think they talked to John Corabi in a long time.
No, but it feels like if this were on the album that John Corabi did, it probably would have worked better.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that makes
then
sense.
for the Fight for Your Right cover, again, rest in peace, MCA. Secondly, while I personally thought I thought the cover was not that awful. It's not great. It's certainly not as good as the original. Like, we talked about them maybe updating the lyrics. No, they kept everything the same except one line where they say, "Mom, you're just jealous. It's the Beastie Boys." Here they say it's the Motley Boys.
Yeah.
And they're not
I
even boys,
for
they're
that
old
change.
men.
Yeah, they're senior
Motley old
citizens now.
farts.
Like when the Beastie Boys originally did that song, they were still teenagers. Here we have a bunch of old men.
Shit, yeah. Yeah.
Well, John 5 is
Yeah.
the younger one.
Well,
Compared to
except
them.
for John 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that leaves me. So I'll do order of which they came out. So Dogs of War, when I heard it, I thought it was an atrocious, generic song. The music video sucks ass. Like Chile, they have Jump 5, and it's fucking wasted. You have a supremely awesome guitar player because I've heard his solo stuff. The guy can shred. He's super innovative. He was also wasted in Marilyn Manson. I think only Rob Zombie had made like John 5 do more. And I think he's just in it for the paycheck because
just a little bit.
Yeah, he has to. I hope he's get paid a ton share of money because right now when they're on tour, he's the most talented musician in that band, hands down. So yeah, Dogs of War, atrocious. Fight for
But you're
Your
comparing
Right.
it against a person who has a bass guitar unplugged. So I feel that
Wait,
Yes.
was it unplugged in that photo you were showing earlier?
I don't know, but apparently, Mick Mars said that he actually played the bass on the albums. It's something else. I think what they did to Mick Mars was super shitty.
Yes.
And founding member, and you treat him like dog shit. Plus, you retire, then you come back, they become a joke.
yeah.
What I think of
It's like the
Motley Crue
John
now-
Farnham thing over here in Australia. The guy's had
Yeah.
so many retirement fucking concerts that no one can keep track of it.
Yeah. And Fight for Your Rights to Party. Fight for Your Rights it's a very bad cover song. I think it's battling that Papa Roach cover. And I think it's just when you're hearing some 60-year-olds talking about your right to party, it's kind of laughable. Like, oh, we're going to party. Like, what, from a nurse home? What is this, cocoon free? Escape from the
Got to be
strip
back
club?
before 10.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to take those pills. Dun, 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 dun.
Bullshit.
You gotta fight for your right for Viagra or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
they're the
just
pillsy ones.
it's like, come on, like come on, Motley Crue. I know that you've always built this image of your party boys, but right now it's like when it's like when I watch Bret Michaels on Rock of Love and tell the contestants, do you want to stay in this house and continue to give me genital herpes? It's like, no, it's a Rock of Ages. It's like, all serious. It's a joke, man. It's a joke. But yeah,
Okay, you.
it's like,
I get jokes.
yeah, you get jokes. Like, I don't know. It's like you can't take these people seriously. You know, it's a song
No.
that when the Beastie Boys sang it, they were young and you could totally relate to it. But like some 60-year-old singing about it, it just sounds so juvenile. I'm like, come on, like grow the fuck up, man. Especially you, Tommy Lee. Like, yeah, what are you gonna say, Rock of All Ages?
I think I forgot to mention, apparently the original was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek mocking of
Yes.
like frat boys. And
Yeah,
here
that's right.
Motley Crue plays it straight.
And they never
Yeah.
played it live as well. They said that they vowed that they
Yeah,
would
they
never
disowned
play
the
that
song,
song
didn't they?
live. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was their biggest hit, I think. And then
Yeah.
they said we're never going to play it live because it was kind of a piss take almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but Motley Crue are
And
like
Motley
frat
Crue's taking it
boys.
seriously. Fuck it all.
Yeah, yeah. You they take it seriously, and you know, I'm tired of Tommy Lee's Instagram and him showing us his third arm. Like, I'm telling you,
Oh
come
yeah, I
on,
heard
like,
about that.
no, I saw it, man. I'm like, why do I need to see this? It's I'm like, I'm gonna follow you, Tommy Lee. Like, oh my God. Like, it's like, you know, at some point you gotta mature. And but I
And you should
think,
start by not having Machine Gun Kelly play you in the movie.
well,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No comment.
yeah, it's okay. But you know what? It's like I think Motley Crue fans, like those true Motley Crue fans, have not matured either. So it's like if you're like, yeah, so it's like I think they're playing to their audience, whoever has left. And the new song "Cancelled," I think is the best one out of all the three songs. But the lyrics are stupid as hell. Like bang your head onto the wall.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with being canceled? And it's like, you know, I think they're trying too hard to be canceled because let's be honest. Does anyone really get canceled? I
Nope.
think
Not anymore.
I don't,
Sinead
yeah,
O'Connor and Janet Jackson.
they're still around. Janet
Well,
Jackson
Sinead
still.
O'Connor's dead.
Sinead O'Connor's dead. That's kind
Oh
of cancelled
yeah.
on a different level.
Well, well, she's a forest ghost now. She's like nothing compares. And
But yeah,
Janet Jackson, what
Janet
did she
Jackson
do?
definitely did.
She showed a
Yeah.
nipple. Big fucking
So,
deal. Like,
yeah.
I agree. I agree.
There, like cancel culture's just lost its bite at the end of the day. It's everyone throws it around out there. It's lost its merit. Everyone who says it's a joke.
Yeah.
I understand why they're singing about it, but yeah, to be cancelled, like I said, it's a PR stunt because there are people on YouTube who make careers off being cancelled, like Isaac Butterfield, if you know of him. The dude's been cancelled like 7 or 8 times, and he goes, "It's the best times because my YouTube channel grows." Like anyone who gets cancelled, if you write it out perfectly, you can increase your audience size.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I think of the three tracks. So yeah, let's give our final thoughts on both. JC.
Okay, well, I said one song I kind of liked, and then two songs I don't. So it's going to be a thumbs down. Obviously, I guess I think like that one song "Canceled" didn't save it because it's just that, like the fight for your right. It's like so bad. It just has to be a down. Um, Now, as for should Motley Crue retire or should they go on? I think they need to make, like, if they want to go on, they should just go either all in or call it quits because this EP is just very half-ass. It's just like, yeah, I mean, it's like three songs. I mean, like, either go all in, get a really good producer, put out like another really good album. I mean, let's just see if you can do that. If they can't, then just call it a day because it's just like what they've been doing, like just like dropping these little things. Same with like Guns N' Roses. They're doing the same thing. They're like just dropping these songs here and there, and they're not good. And they put out like this EP like last year or something.
Terrible.
It's either put out a new album, go all in, get a good producer, or just quit. So that's really my thoughts on Motley Crue. Yeah.
Nice. What about you,
Mm.
Chili?
Look, as far as this album is concerned, I think it's the musical equivalent
EP,
of
it's an
a.
EP.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's an EP. Fuck, what am I saying? As far as this EP is concerned, I think it's the musical equivalent of AIDS, which is quite befitting for the band to mention in the same sentence. Speaking of AIDS, I think the band might need them because, yeah, this sounds like absolute shit. You know,
Oof.
it is an absolute terrible album, EP anyway. But yeah, it's so I don't what I JC, I get where you're coming from, I guess. You know, go all in or don't, half-ass it or just quit. I get that, but I don't mind EPs being released. I think in this current day and age of musical trends, albums are pretty much like the dinosaur era. It's not done and dusted. It's not gone. It's not going anywhere either. But I think in this day and age, you see a lot of it in like mostly pop musicians and stuff like that. They'll release little singles here and there and dribs and drabs, and then they'll put out an album. And I think rock music is way behind the curve as far as that is concerned. You don't see musicians doing EPs. It's an album, then it's a tour. And back in the day, I guess I'm just going to go, on a rant here, but back in the day, you used to put out an album and then tour to sell the album. Nowadays, you put out an album so you can go on tour because that's the way you're
Mhm.
making money these days. So
Yeah.
rock and roll's in this weird industry, in this weird cycle, I guess, of I have to put out an album because I have to tour. But I feel like if people focus on EPs and short songs and, three, four tracks here and there, rather than trying to focus on a whole album for 6 months of the year and put out maybe their shittest record they've ever done to date, you could focus on two or three good tracks at a time and hone in on a sound and continuously release like, three or four EPs like Guns N' Roses have done. Some of them are good, some of them are really bad, but anyway, I digress. So, as far as do I want them to continue touring? Uh, I mean, I wouldn't go see them myself. I think they're a bunch of has-beens. They're done and dusted. Vince Neil sounds like crap. The bass guitar isn't even plugged in. It's apparently backing tracks. Why would I pay $200 to go see a band that's effectively playing at their worst, and is pretty much a studio recording at that, and it's kind of the question that I have to ask all these aging rock stars, because at some point you go from being the young guns to, the I guess.
The elder statesman.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exact words I was trying to think of. You become the elder statesman, but it's like Motley Crue have skipped that step to just become the old ranting at clouds type of people, and it's unfortunate. Do I think they should tour? Probably not. No, I'd say just call it a day, forget it, leave your legacy as it is.
Nice. So what about you, Rock of Ages?
It's kind of interesting that the Rolling Stones have been around much longer, and I don't know if anyone's asking this question about them.
Never will.
Yeah.
Like,
But
they
Mick
just put
Jagger
out an
still
album last
performs
year.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
They still sound great. Yeah.
yeah, but also rest in peace, Charlie Watts.
Yeah.
So as far as this EP, there was a scene from The Dirt that I've been thinking about recently. It was when either Theater of Pain had just come out or the band had just finished recording it. And the band's manager is telling them, "Hey guys, you have a great record." And Vince Neil's like, "No, we don't. It sounds terrible." And the manager's like, "Well, you have Smoking in the Boys' Room. That's a hit. And Home Sweet Home. That's a great song." And Vince Neil goes, "Yeah, two decent songs. The rest is pure shit."
Mm.
And I bring up that scene because if they know when they've made something bad, then why don't they do something about it?
Yeah.
And that applies to this EP. I was actually going to give it a sideways thumb, but the more we talk about it, the more I think I gotta give it a thumbs down. And
I didn't give
yeah,
a rating.
You
I
didn't give it a
rating. I didn't give it a rating. Thumbs down. Sorry.
yeah, they should retire.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Mick Mars had to retire for health reasons. The rest of the band should just, quit now before they, do something really embarrassing.
Again.
Well, again, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they become a joke band, and there's bands like Metallica. They're old, but they're
Oh,
playing
yeah.
at a
It's still
caliber.
good.
I've seen
Yeah.
them live, and they still can
Yeah.
they why? Because they kept at it, and they're healthy. But Motley Crue has become a joke.
It's like Spinal Tap of the 80s scene,
Yes, they become a joke, and
No,
uh,
Spinal Tap was better than Motley Crue is now.
Oh,
yeah, no, right now
Yeah.
Motley Crue is terrible. When you see videos of Vince Neil going like, and it sounds like he's going to have a heart attack, and can't understand what he's singing. And obviously the controversy with Nikki Sixx probably is not playing bass live. And didn't Tommy Lee like fall down and break a rib?
Oh,
Something. Yeah, he fell
No,
down.
Vince Neil did. Vince Neil broke his hand falling off the stage.
Oh, yeah. And
Such a shame.
and Tommy Lee, he's still, when you have a like this old dude showing his wang on Instagram, I'm like, come on, like dude, you're old. Like what the hell are you doing?
No wonder he drums so fast.
Yes,
Doesn't
I'm like,
use double kickers. He just pops a Viagra and watches the
Yeah.
crowd.
the more that Motley Crue goes on, the more they hurt their legacy. Yes, they have some awesome tunes back in the day, but they become a joke, and it's just atrociously bad. So thumbs down. DCPs, it's 12 minutes, and it's like I like what JC said, half-assed. Yeah, they're half-assing. Just put some shit out there, and let's pretend that it's good. So yeah, I would say please retire for the love of God. Who wants to see Motley Crue like this? They're just hurting themselves the longer they keep at this. So I would just like if this was live listening race, we would erase them.
They race so fast.
We erased them. So yeah, we've all said that this new EP canceled.
Should be cancelled.
Should be canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a bad, atrocious EP, and so for you that haven't seen it, like I'll put when we did the Generation Swine, and remember that Brandon is my son.
Your mother gave birth to you.
My son. Yeah, I think we said on that episode that that's probably the song that, because we all know that Tommy Lee got his ass whooped by one of his kids, and it was probably Brandon. I'm like, you wrote that fucking song about me. I'm gonna kick your ass.
I saw someone say that when Kiss put out Beth, like the drummer wrote and sang a ballad and it was one of their biggest hits. But
Oh,
like that
yeah.
song was made by everyone in the band, and everyone in the band like wanted it to be the best possible version of the song that it could be. Meanwhile, knowing everything going on with Motley Crue when they were making Generation Spline, is it any surprise that it turned out the way it did?
Yeah.
No,
But yeah.
not at all.
So we want to know from you, Cowshares, what do you think of Cancelled by Motley Crue? What would you rate it? And do you think that the band should go on or retire? Comment down below. So please subscribe to my guest channel. You got Rock of All Ages. He does like a podcast type of videos, and he gives you like songs that were popular in different years. So subscribe to him.
We'll be
JC
having the
Rock
2006 episode coming up soon.
2006 episode. JC Rock and Metal Reviews. Recently, I think you did a Dokken video, right?
Yeah, I did. I ranked Dokken.
Of
So
Dokken,
yeah, I do a lot of classic rock, and like Motley Crue, like this generation of music, like the late '80s. That's kind of almost my specialty. So
Yeah,
I talk a lot about that. Yeah,
yeah.
this stuff.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so subscribe to his channel and live listening rates Chile. You know, if you wanna like, he's got the 5 minute reviews that sometimes are 3 minutes, sometimes they're 12. So you know,
Not 5 minute reviews.
yeah, he's like,
Not
it
quite
needs to
5
be
minutes.
5 minutes, and it's 5 and 2 seconds. You're like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Where can I cut this again?
So
Yeah, do 5 minute
so
reviews, do
yeah,
retro
and
reviews on episodes as
retro
well.
reviews, and he's got all that. So
Yeah.
retro reviews, I know you're gonna talk about Korn's album. Also gonna talk about that album on my channel because
I'm also
you
going
know
to be doing a new series at the end of the year. I've got which is Moments in Music. So we're going to release the first episode for that one, and the first episode is going to be about Dimebag Darrell. Of
Rest in
course,
peace.
nice.
correct. Yeah, the
Yeah.
20th anniversary since his passing, unfortunate. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
so that
is, yeah.
first episode's going to be coming out
Awesome.
in December.
Okay. So for me, there's a few more episodes of Is It That Bad? And in November, we'll just like take a break and come back in January so you miss us. And next year, I also want to do a new series that I've been thinking of called Should Have Been Bigger, where we take bands that maybe weren't that big and we discuss them, and then at the end we say maybe they should have been bigger, or like hell no, they thank God they weren't bigger. So that's gonna be a new series that I want to do for next year. But obviously, Is It That Bad? Is It That Bad? We'll be back. And so please, I want to thank everyone for watching. And coming up next weekend, we're gonna talk about the new album by The Offspring, which is called
Oh yeah.
Supercharged. And that will be the next episode of Is It That Bad? So
Mhm.
we'll see you next weekend on another episode of Is It That Bad? So until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Duna Couch, and I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.